All right, what's up, guys and girls? What's up? This is DJ coming at you. Good morning and all that kind of happy stuff. This is Wednesday morning. Got a little report on my Easy Motion Yield jumper. I rode it to work last night, which is 15 point something miles away. But this time I did something different. I thought it was really interesting. I said, you know what? I think I mentioned it in my last report on this electric bike that these e-bikes technically can be classified as the new mopeds of the 2000s, if you really think about it. Again, motor, rear hub motor or mid-drive, and pedals. Moped, hence the term moped, motor and pedals. I did something a bit different this time, and that is I rode this bike as more of a moped than pedaling the bike this time. I wanted to see how the battery would do on a real world trip, to work and back, and see what kind of range I would get. Now the good thing is I have a couple other Easy Motion bikes, so I have multiple battery packs. They all fit, at least the 2014s, 2015s, the battery packs all fit, every bike that they made, so they're interchangeable. But anyway, they'll just have different amp hour ratings. But anyway, very interesting report. Now, also what I did too is when it came to hills and things, I did pedal up the hills. These motors, it's a 36 volt system, 11.6 amp hour battery. It does not have enough torque to climb the type of hills that I have to climb down here. So that's basically the only time I assisted the bike was to climb the hills. Okay, we got a few steep hills down here. But my round trip was, I got a trip odometer on this thing. Hang on, let me see. My round trip was 32.5 miles, yeah. Round trip of 32.5 miles. Now, believe it or not, I did all that off of one battery. I thought for sure I might have to switch out the batteries because of the hill climbing. Even with me pedaling these hills, one of the hills is like this. It's like that steep, really. No exaggerate. Imagine pedaling up a hill that steep. That motor can't make it because the circumference of the wheel is too big. Now, on the other hand, if you had a smaller wheel, like a 20-inch, if you had like a 48 volt system, it would probably make it up the hill with no problem, because you have a mechanical advantage having the smaller wheel when it comes down to getting e-bikes, when it comes down to torque. Yes, and that's one thing I really like a lot is torque, because that's going to enable you to combat the variances in the roads or trails or whatever. So this bike right here is just a 36 volt. I wish it was a 48. But I'm looking at doing some sort of conversion to make it into a 48 volt, because 48 volts would be a killer. The only thing is, though, I would have to get like a backpack battery, something like that, and take that one off just to balance out the weight, whatever. But anyway, I got off topic, my bad. But anyway, back to the bike, how it did. The bike did very well. Again, having a 650B wheel, my voice is kind of gone. But anyway, with the hub motor that I have is a geared hub motor. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the motor that I have, the Easy Motion motor, there is a geared hub motor. Now with geared hub motors, you can get an awful lot of torque, okay? And they don't use as much power as the planetary gear. I mean, not planetary, but the planetary, I think they're called planetary hub motors. In other words, there's no moving parts. And the direct drive, there you go, I'm sorry. The direct drive hub motors. I have one of those on my Brompton, but in those motors, there's no moving parts whatsoever. This motor right here, there are moving parts inside that motor, which enable it to get a lot of torque generated. But it just said at the same time, at 36 volts, you don't get a whole lot of torque generated, So if it were 48, it'd be astronomical torque. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It It's kind of cool. So what I did different was on the bike, since I rode it more as a moped, you know, all throttle except for the heels, I lowered my seat. You know, I normally have the seat up high because I'm kind of tall. I'm almost 6 feet and I got kind of long legs. I normally have the seat up higher, but this time I actually lowered the seat down real low so I could get more of the feel of riding a moped. You know, the seat height of a moped is going to be more low to the ground. So I did that. I'm very impressed with the bike as far as riding it to work because the range, like I said, round trip's 30-something miles, 32 miles, and I have an extra backpack on my back. I mean, excuse my language, I have an extra battery on my back, not backpack. I have an extra battery in my backpack. Yes, just in case. But I didn't even have to break it out, didn't have to use it. Now, upon getting home, I was down, or am down to 1 bar on the bike. 1 bar on the battery, I mean. So, yeah, it used all the juice pretty much. But it did extremely well considering the tire size. Now, here's something you may want to do if you're going for more range on your e-bikes. Max out your tire pressure. As you can see on my tire here, these Maxxis tires, you know, my tire pressure can go all the way up to 60 PSI. So that's what I did also before I went to work. I maxed out my tires, put them at 60 PSI. I may even try to go 65 tonight when I ride it to work. It's really enjoyable. And it's a lot of fun going slow, so to speak, because this bike only tops out at 20 miles an hour. Yes, I did hit 20 miles an hour when the road was extremely flat. I usually stay between 17 and 18 miles an hour with the variances in the road. So the bike did great. I'm very happy with it. Again, I had this bike since 2014. Let me show you guys so you see that I'm not just talking when I say I have 6,000 miles collectively on my bikes. On this bike alone, you can see it's 2,300 miles, 2,388 miles on this bike. I got other bikes that I have a couple thousand miles on. So, you know, it happens when you got multiple bikes. But if I had just had this bike here, I'd probably have coming up right at 8,000 miles if I had just had the one bike. But you know, these bikes are so cool. Every bike that I have has a different purpose, though. They're not all the same, you know. And that's the kind of the fun part. Like I got the 20-inch Easy Motion, I forgot what you call it, Neo Prox. Yes, I'll do a review on that again later. If you look at my older videos, I have done reviews on that. But that's a 20-inch bike, 20-inch electric bike, and it has the exact same motor. But the difference is the torque generated in the wheel is a lot more than the torque generated in the 650B wheel. Why? Because the circumference of the wheel is smaller. Therefore, the motor doesn't have to work as hard, and therefore you have more torque. Like I can climb hills like this, you know, real long, great steep hills at like 10 miles an hour with that bike, you know, with that motor because of the smaller wheel size. So yeah, but I like to say, I'm gonna end this video, I don't want to stretch it out too long. It was raving success, round trip of 32 miles. I only assisted the bike on the serious hills, on the flats, all throttle. I'm very impressed. It was a lot of fun. Again, this bike is full suspension, so that even made it more fun. You know, I can roll over stuff pretty easily. The brakes are phenomenal on this bike. If you can get this bike, this is 2014. I don't care what anybody says. I've had this bike for going on 5 years. In October or November, it'll be about 5 years. This bike is a beast. It's a beast. Don't be fooled. Don't think because it's a 2014 that the newer ones are better. That's not true. These people in the bike industry, they're going after the dollar bill. You know, that's why every year they come out with a different version of a bike. Even Easy Motion, the Easy Motion bikes. Same with High Bike. Just because you get an older 2014 or 2015 bike does not mean that the 2019s are any better, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me on that, because this bike right here, I'm very well satisfied. You know, no need to update to a 2000. The main thing is you have a motor on your bike that can assist you. And I'd like to say again, I'm telling you, a throttle e-bike is more fun than having just a pedal assist bike, even if it's a high bike. Okay? Why? Because you have the option to ride this thing like a moped. I mean, with just the throttle only, you know. This bike right here on a flat, it only has 11.6 amp hour battery. It would probably get about 22 miles to 23 miles unassisted on a just flat pavement. That's awesome. Now, I assisted the bike today, only on the heels, and I got 32 miles. That's still awesome. That's awesome. And I'm talking about storm winds. Oh yeah, let me throw this in there. On the way to work, it was like 60% chance of rain. I didn't really figure that out till I was like maybe a quarter of a way there, whatever, but I was too far to turn back. And all of a sudden these hurricane force winds came through. I'm on the bike, and I'm like, Lord, please don't let it rain. I got like 25 minutes to go. The Lord let it rain, and I got totally soaked on the bike, totally drenched, but it actually added to the excitement of riding the bike. So it was an adventure. But I made it back alive. Yeah, it was an adventure. I really got, the storm was horrible. There's probably a tornado somewhere. But anyway, yeah. Get this bike. This bike is the bomb. You can, I haven't done any research lately. You can probably find one brand new for $1,500. Don't let the lower price of this full suspension bike fool you, if you can find it. I've seen one not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago, and it was still like $4,000 because the bike is very well spec'd. High-end components on this bike. It's got Techno Agura hydraulic brakes on. These brakes are awesome. I mean, they will literally throw you over the handlebars if you're not careful. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. This bike did great on my moped experience with it. I'm going to do it again tonight and the next night and just have fun doing it because I normally don't throttle everywhere. I normally just ride the bike and throttle when I need it, you know. But I'm enjoying this style of riding a bike. There's many ways you can ride an e-bike. You can ride pedal assisted. You can ride throttle only. You can ride to where you use the throttle only on heels. So it's a very bunch of different ways you can ride an e-bike to conserve power or whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't trying to conserve power here. And I had a 15-point-something mile trip one way. So that's 32 miles round trip. And the bike, I still had 1 bar left. Again, like I said, I only helped it out on the hill. So I'm very impressed. After 4.5 years of having this bike, I'm very, very impressed. I will not sell this bike. And like I said, I have a high bike also. I will not give up this bike for the high bike. Just ain't gonna happen. For the mid-drive system. That throttle just gives you another whole level of fun. It also adds safety and security. Why? Because if you get hurt or you have a crash somewhere, you can throttle your way to the hospital or whatever else and get help. So, bam. And these companies making these e-bikes do not count out the throttle. It's not all about pedal assist. I have to say it again. Get you a throttle bike with a pedal assist system and you'll be very happy. Later.